Good evening, everyone. Country Flyboy here, and today, a first impressions video. I cannot for the life of me remember how to pronounce this thing. TB-10 Tobago? I have no clue. It's a French airplane. It says it right there on the side. Tobago. I don't know. It's a new airplane from FSelite, and disclaimer, I got this as a review copy from FSelite. This is a first impressions video. This is the first time I've ever done anything with this plane. I've barely read the manual. We're going to be taking it out for a little spin and see how it handles. Expect a full review at some point later on FSelite. So let's hop into the plane. One thing the manual mentioned that I think I like already is A2A, we all know, has their aircraft management stuff. This airplane has aircraft management as well. We access it by clicking this switch here. Jesus Christ, that sounds loud. And we can manage our airplane from here. Refill oil, refill TKS, and refill fuel. I'm going to go ahead and set us to 100% fuel. As you can see, it changed up here. Got the frame rate counter going there so you can see how it handles. The aircraft is brand new. I haven't done any flights with it. Now, we also have this right here, which apparently lets us bring up pop-ups of the different gauges. So we have the audio panel there and the GPS. What else we got? We have tow bar. This doesn't seem as intuitive as A2A's, where you can actually tow it around with a tow bar and your joystick. I'm going to be drawing comparisons to A2A with this plane. I already know I am. It's actually pretty good. We got a logbook here. We'll see how that functions at the end of the flight. Got some sort of flight computer. Haven't quite figured out how to work with that one yet. Alright, we got checklist, which is exactly what I'm looking for. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and hide that. Pre-flight, pilot doors open, control lock. Alright, anti-collision lights on, main switch on. Propeller, full forward. Throttle, 1/4 inch. Mixture idle cut. Fuel pump on. Mixture full rich. Fuel flow confirmed for 3 to 5 seconds. Right there. Mixture idle cutoff. Fuel pump off. Area is clear. Alright, magnetos start. Okay, so mag start, engine started, mag selector, both mixture to full rich. Okay, so just like with the A2A. Is this one be one of those planes where we gotta give it a little gas? Yep. Alright, so it's not modeled true engine modeling like the A2A. So we do have to have a little bit of fuel mixture in there in order to start it, unlike the real airplane, presumably. Oil pressure. Gotta find that oil pressure. I really should check it. This is why it's a first impressions video. I'm learning as I go, because I've never ever sat in a plane like this. Come to think of it, where is the oil pressure? That's manifold pressure. Cylinder head EGT, that's RPM. Oh, it's right here. Oil pressure. That's pretty neat right there. I don't know if I like it, but that's pretty neat. Alright. After start, you know what? We'll freaking wing it from here. Alrighty. Let's go ahead and flip on our taxi light, turn coordinator. Alright. Radio master on. GPS on. That does not look like a default GPS, actually. I'm impressed. Alright, that's COM 2. Flip on DME. This is the autopilot. We don't need that. GTX 330. Yep, and the VFR. It's a Just Flight add-on, so their VFR squawk code is always 7000. I'm having to double click that. Alright, let's just see if this works. Function, flight time, start. Stop, clear. Alright, that works. Altitude monitor. OAT, yep, that's correct. Count up, let's see if that works. Cursor. Cursor, 3, 0. Nope, that's not working. Okay, so cursor will not come up. Count down. There. I had it in the count up timer. I am such a freaking noob. Alright, let's do a 0, 0, 0, 5-minute countdown. Just why not? And we'll see pressure altitude for now. Alrighty.
Socata, November 5548, Charlie, taking off runway 34, straight out departure.
I will give it 1 notch of flaps, because this runway is a little shorter than the other runway is. Don't think it's quite short enough to need a full short field takeoff procedure, but a little flaps won't hurt it. Alright, here we go to full power. Rotate at this aircraft is at 60 knots. Rotate. Oh, I forgot to close the window. Let me trim it up for a good climb. There we go. Alright, raising the flaps. Somebody's taking off runway 4 back there. Should be no factor if he's heading to the north. Alright, we'll climb out at 80 knots. From what little I read of the manual, this plane seems to be like a sort of like a Cessna in terms of performance, like the 172. It's definitely behaving like one, that's for sure. So far, TCAS seems to be showing traffic. Alright, now we're coming through 1,000. Let's go ahead and bring back the manifold pressure. We'll put it at 25. And let's also bring back some of the RPM. Oh, that's a nice smooth prop. We'll put top of the green arc on the RPM. I hit the button a little harder, but it seems to be pretty smooth when you bring the prop back. And let's pitch and trim for about an 80 knot climb. We'll head off to the north. Our transponder is on. We are getting a good reply light. So we have a countdown timer. We have full instrumentation, GPS. So I'd say, yeah, this airplane seems to be pretty well equipped for IFR as well as VFR. GPS, I think it does have the capability of swapping out for a Garmin GN or GTN 650 from Flight 1, but it does come with this not too shabby GNS 430, although it does use the default GPS system. Let's see, we are receiving the VOR, so let's go ahead and track outbound on a particular radial. See, we're currently on radial 016, so let's go ahead and track that outbound. Because why not? Oh, I do like it's got a little bit of floatness to it. It does actually feel really nice. Pretty stable airplane so far. What's this? Now, this does appear to be a fixed gear aircraft. We got a Cessna 421 off of our right side, about a mile away, same altitude. Should be no factor. We're going to pass just behind him. Let's see if he shows up on the TCAS right where he is. I don't see... Yep, right there he is. You can see that little cross there. That TCAS is a bit hard to see when they're close to you. Gotten off our radial. Okay, we're about 17 north, or no, wait, that's an 11. 11 north of the VOR now. I think that's an 11. 11.2 it says. No readout on the GPS which VOR we have tuned. I'm just going to turn that message thing off. It won't let me. Does seem to want to drift to the right. Alright, let's climb on up to 3,500. Wow, you gotta put some nose down trim in this thing. That's for sure. You definitely gotta trim it to get this thing to fly, to get the good control inputs. I'm having to put a lot of pressure forward on the stick to get the nose down. That's good. That's how it should be. So far, flight dynamics look good. Let's go ahead and pull some throttle back. Take it back down to 20 on the manifold pressure. And I'll ease the RPM back to within the green arc a little bit more. Not really following the checklist, but oh well. Alright, because I hit D earlier and I saw movement on the HSI down there, I'm wondering if that HSI is slave to the magnetic compass. It indicates a heading of about 016. Magnetic compass indicates a heading of about 020. If I hit D, if there's movement on this, then that's a negative. There was, and so there too. These two should not be moving. This is supposed to be slave to the magnetic compass. This is an HSI. That's a movable card and shouldn't move when I hit D. But it did. So that's not correct. That should be slave to the magnetic compass. At least I think that should be slave to the magnetic compass. If I understand how that thing works, that's how it's supposed to work. I think. Maybe not. Alright, let's yeah, we're probably far enough north of the airport. Let's head towards the coast over there, right towards that bend in the coast, right here. And let's do some maneuvers. Alright, so fuel selector. Let's go ahead and move this over to the right tank. Oops. I'm gonna have to get used to that. I tried to move it manually with the mouse and ended up shutting off my engine. Alright, that's over to the fullest tank. We're retrimmed now. I'm going to pull the throttle back to bottom of the manifold. Right there. Increase RPM. Keep pulling that nose back. 2 notches of flaps. Coming through 50, full flaps. Getting on the back side of the power curve. I'm putting her in slow flight. And let's just see how slow we can actually get this airplane before we stall. Get some buffeting. There's some buffeting. Definitely getting slow. Doesn't like it. Alright, stall horn at about 50, just above 50. Looks to be about 52, 53. So we should be able to hold between 55 and 60. in slow flight conditions with some minor buffeting. Really, I'm losing altitude. Really need to increase the throttle to maintain altitude. Alright. Give it a little trim to help me out. Now that I'm stable and in pretty good slow flight condition, I'm going to bank right and left. I was afraid of that. Yeah, the plane does seem a little more responsive than it should be at slow flight. I was expecting it to be not quite as responsive as that. It does feel a little sluggish. I'm doing it full deflection here, if you can see the yoke. So let's give it partial deflection. Yeah, like, it should not be that responsive. Not in slow flight. Alright, I'm gonna give it full power. Actually, no, wait. Let's stall it. Let's see how she handles in a stall dirty. So we're flaring for landing. Power's out. Flare, flare, flare. There's the stall. There's the brake. Full throttle. Nose. Whoa, that nose really drops. Put right into the climb. Flap. One notch. Okay, so it's a 3-notch system. So kind of like the default bearing is. Alright, we're back into regular flight. Let's recover our altitude. That's me with the trim wheel, by the way. That little clunking noise. Okay, so now we're back in regular flight conditions. Flaps up. Let's see how responsive she is on the controls. Oh wow, she's basically the same. Okay, so note, the plane behaves pretty much the same at both cruising speed, or climb and cruising speed, and slow flight conditions. So, doesn't appear the flight dynamics are quite up to snuff. The plane, all planes, not just the Skyhawk, will be a little bit more sluggish in slow flight because there's not as much air going over the ailerons. You'll still have elevator control. And it did seem that the throttle, it did behave correctly for being on the back side of the power curve. We had to use throttle for altitude and pitch for airspeed. So it had that, but the aileron control didn't quite seem there. The ailerons were a little too effective for a slow flight condition. Now, I'm going to pull the throttle out completely. I'm really going to pitch this plane up. And as the stall breaks, I'm going to cross control. Crossing the controls. Hold it, hold it, hold it, hold it, hold it, and we're in a spin. Rudder opposite direction. Pull it out, 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 pull it out. Right up into the climb. Give it that throttle as we go up. Losing airspeed. Well, she spun nicely, actually. I actually didn't have to give it opposite rudder to stop the spin. It seemed to do the stop the spin by itself. Never flown this airplane before in real life, so that may or may not be realistic. Okay. I keep forgetting this plane has a carburetor, so I'm going to have to manage that. Alright, let's turn back southbound, head back towards McKinnon, and we'll land. 7 miles. He says he's 5 from 4. Yeah, I think that's our dude right there. He's inbound for 4. We should be able to beat him to the runway. I mean, he's landing on 4, but if he has to go around, this is going to be a bit problematic. I think he's far enough out, though. We should be able to beat him in if we keep our approach tight. Alright, so let's not lollygag on this pattern. I don't see anyone else in the pattern, just us. Alright, go ahead and bring this all the way forward. This is forward. Control or H is for the carburetor heat. Remember that. Let's go ahead and turn onto the downwind.
Beginning traffic, Socata, November 5548 Charlie, is on downwind, runway 16.
If we have to go around, it'll be okay. Alright, beam the numbers. Power out, pitch down. Carb heat. Verify that that did turn it on. First notch of flaps. A little bit of nose down trim. Let's go ahead and turn onto the base.
Beginning traffic, Socata, November 5548 Charlie, is on base, runway 16.
From base leg, we should be able to see our traffic on 4, and I'll make the decision to go or land. 3 southwest. Alright, we can beat him in. Go ahead and turn onto the final. We're going to be high on this one. Go ahead and give it full notch of flaps then, since I already know I'm going to be high. Ridiculously high. Let's give it some slippage. We are on final.
Traffic, Socata, November 5548 Charlie, is on final, runway 16, land.
Approach speed's at 70 knots in this plane. I'm coming in fast and high. Not my best landing. Well, my first landing in this plane, and I did not do too good of a job. Let's give it some brakes. And clear this runway. Alright, we'll taxi it back over to our little hangar. Flaps up. And clear the runway.
Socata, November 5548 Charlie, is clear of the runway.
Carb heat off. Landing lights off. Strobe lights off. Alright, give it a stop here. Alright, set parking brake, set. Turn bank indicator off. Anti-collision light off. Taxi light off. Interior lights off. Autopilot and radio master off. Throttle 1000 RPM. Yep. Mag selector off, them both. Them both. Throttle 1200 RPM. Why do you want the throttle up to 1200 RPM after you tell me to turn the mags off? Okay, throttle's idle cut. Mixture's idle cut. I think these are supposed to be flipped around. Mixture should be above magnetos, then throttle, then the magnetos. So mixture and magneto needs to be swapped around. Engine is stopped. Mag selector is off. Alt field breaker off. Main switch off. Fuel selector off. Control lock installed. Chocks and tie downs installed. Alright, done with that. Let's open our door. Oh, that is not the switch I thought it was. That locks the door. Open the door is what I want. Just use the key command, I guess. Well, let's look over the plane on the outside. Looks like the tie downs are back, pitot cover's on, and the chocks are on. Alright, let's see if anything got filled in here. I didn't even bother with that. Can we actually type in this? I mean, maybe it didn't log a flight because we didn't have a flight plan. But we went on a flight. You would log this in real life. Let's see, tow bar. Alright, let's check oil quantity. We're at 13.3. I don't know what TKS fluid is. Well, so far, the plane's actually not that bad. I'll have to do some more flying with it before I can write the full review. But I do like this plane so far, other than a few things I found here on this first impressions. Well, that was the first impressions of this Tobago. How the hell did they pronounce it? Socata. Socata Tobago 10. Anyway, hope you enjoyed it. We shall see you next time. Look forward to the full review of this airplane on FSelite. Take care, everybody.